So tonight we're going to make some t-shirts. Let me get my laptop going here. I'm running just a couple minutes late. Okay, so I've got 4 shirts that we're going to make tonight. A 5th one if we've got some people on. We can wait and see there. So they're all different in some way. So I've got our first one with just Chalk Couture products with an actual full Chalk Couture transfers or silk screen transfers. So we're going to start with that one. And then I'm going to show you how you can kind of bring in, if you have like a vinyl cutter, the Cricut, Cricuts, whatever you want to call it. I have a Zing Air that I use. And show you how you can use our inks to make permanent t-shirts that way as well. I don't always have the best luck with vinyl iron-ons. Normally after like 10 washes or so, they start falling off or cracking. So that's why I love the inks, because they don't do that. I don't know how many times I've washed this shirt. It's not, the black's getting a little faded, but it's not cracking, it's not falling off. So I love being able to use my vinyl cutter to make a custom t-shirt. So let me get in my Facebook. I meant to have this open already. So I'm going to be able to show you from the beginning to end on 4 different t-shirts. So the first one I'm starting with is just a standard transfer. It is, we're going to do multiple colors on it. Let me get in my page here. I'm going to do multiple colors, but it's just going to be kind of, oops, let me turn my volume off. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I picked the more basic one to go with first. So as we get people on, we'll do some harder ones. I've got one, I've got a layering one that we're going to do with the silk screen transfers that will actually layer it. I've also got one that we're putting in half of a transfer, half of a vinyl. And then also, and we're not ironing the vinyl on. We're actually using the vinyl as a transfer, but it's not a silk screen transfer, so you can't reuse it like our silk screen transfers with Chalk Couture. Okay, so since we are just putting it straight onto cloth, we do not need to worry about fuzzing it. And I'm only actually going to pull from the top on this one. I think we're just going to do The Mountains Are Calling, and that is it. So if you guys, hey Jessica, if you guys are just jumping on, please share the video out there. I feel bad when I have to stop and do that to get some views going. So if you guys share, for me saying thank you for doing that, sprinkling that video out there. I do give away a full 5x7 kit, and if we hit 50 views, I start giving out sample kits throughout the live. So there's definitely incentives for getting that video out there. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with some green. I'm going to do the mountains in green. We're going to do blue sky, and then I'm just going to do white for the words. So like I said, we're going to do 4 t-shirts tonight, and they're all going to be different using different products. So we're going to go ahead and get the mountains on here real fast. And then next, I'm going to show you how to layer with our transfers with ink. And then after that, I've got a t-shirt ready to go, all in vinyl. And we're going to use that vinyl to make a custom t-shirt. So I'll show you guys how to do that. And then my 4th t-shirt, I've got a shirt that is, I know I love my heat press. the fourth shirt is going to actually be half transfer and half vinyl to show that you can actually use our transfers and make them custom. Hey, Cheyenne. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next color. If you guys are just jumping on tonight, I'm just showing some different ways to make t-shirts. I've got some, right now we're just doing a Chalk Couture transfer, and these are reusable transfers. And then next we will have some ones where I've actually cut out some stuff with my vinyl cutter to make transfers. But you can't reuse them, so that's the one downfall. Inks are actually meant to be runny. Now, I noticed that my reds are always incredibly runny. You can try setting it out some, but they don't dry up like chalks do. Yeah, unfortunately the inks are a little runny. I haven't used this one before. I'm a little worried. I don't have a lighter blue. So hopefully this will show up on this dark gray. Okay. So what's great about the inks is you can actually take your time. There's not a whole lot of rushing like you have to do with our paste, because you don't have to worry about it drying into it as quickly. So you can kind of take your time and do all those different colors without having to worry about it drying into the transfer. But on the other hand, they are permanent. So if you make a mistake or it bleeds, unfortunately, it is permanent. I try my best to keep my squeegees going in one direction once I've got it down. You know, I've gotten so used to working with chalk that if I'm talking, sometimes I forget that, which causes it to bleed sometimes. And I've got some bubbles in this transfer. Okay, so we've got our blue covered now. We're going to go ahead and throw in the white on the words, and then we'll be able to take a look. And I also do like to try and close up my inks as I go, mainly because I'm afraid I'm going to knock them down. And they are, since they are runnier, the second that it hits the floor, be a mess. You also want to try and make sure that you keep it off your hands as well, which I did not do a very good job on this one. Because if you touch your hand down on your shirt or something and you have it all over your hands, it will then be on your shirt, and they are permanent. Okay. So what we're going to do, let me turn this on. This one looks like it's got some really good coverage. Sometimes I go over it with a second coat before I remove the transfer, especially if I can see a lot of the t-shirt through the ink. But actually it looks like we got some good coverage on this one. You want to make sure that you've got all of the gray silk screen covered, where you will lose that part of the detail. Okay. You really want to make sure that you're going in one direction with your squeegees because you don't want it to bleed, and with them being a little runnier, it can cause some bleeding. And especially once we get into using the vinyl instead of the Chalk Couture transfers, there's more of a chance of it bleeding. Yeah, I always double check my fingers real fast before pulling it off because I don't want to touch. And there we go. Let me find the back into this one. Okay, and there is our transfer. Get this turned up. So we've got our sticky mat in here so that it does not seep through to the other side. You know, while I've got a second, I'm going to go ahead and let this dry, and then we will be able to iron it, and it will be completely ready to go. While we are waiting, I am going to try and share this out here real fast to some groups. I always sometimes screw up. I hate when I accidentally do a, why won't it let me share? If you're just jumping on, definitely let's spread the video out there so I don't have to keep stopping to share. But this is our, The Mountains Are Calling, and I Must Go transfer. It is actually a retire transfer. I went ahead and just cut off the bottom half. I just wanted the top. So we've got our blue, our green, and I'm just kind of letting that dry for a second. I want to make sure that it dries before we use a heat press on it. Trying to share this out. No, that's not what I want. And I don't want to watch party. I've got Facebook all screwed up. Okay. Sorry guys, it'll be just 1 second. We're just gonna go ahead and pop this video out to a couple places. I'm having a problem getting it to... Okay, so if you're jumping on, make sure to say hi. Here we go. So we're going to go ahead and do our next t-shirt in just a second. And it's one of my favorite. Let's see. I actually did... Sorry guys. Okay. That should be good enough. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and remove our mat out of here. I don't want to accidentally melt that into it. And then once I remove a mat, I'm going to dry it just a little bit, and then we will be able to hit it with a heat press. Just in case it's a little wet though, I don't want to smear. Okay, I've got our sticky mat out. I'll lay this down here, and I'm just going to kind of blow it dry a little bit before we throw the heat press on it. Ooh, Jessica, if you're still on, it sounds like my pen's about to go out too. Ooh. It's a weird sound. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my mat for underneath. We're going to go ahead and set this. So what I do is I just grab some parchment paper. And for 30 seconds, and I do it at 300. While that's going, there we go. We've now got our t-shirt. So now this can be washed with no problem. And that ink is all set in. We've got our first shirt done. And I'm just going to set it right over here. Okay, so our next one is going to be a layered shirt. We are going to do a layered transfer. We're going to go ahead, and these is all, once again, with Chalk Couture transfers. And then we'll start moving into how to use the vinyl. I was hoping to have some more people on before we moved on to the vinyl. Okay. I don't know if this is going to fit in here. Let me actually, we got a little of the ink from the last shirt on here, so let me just wipe that off before we get it on the other one. Okay. If you're just jumping on, say hi. So now we're going to go ahead, and we're actually going to go ahead and do a t-shirt for my son. He loves fishing. So I'm just getting the sticky mat in there. And we're going to do our farmhouse truck with fishing rods coming out the back. Okay, so the truck is actually a double layer one. So you have the outline of the truck and then the underneath. So we're going to go ahead and do, let's see, what color? He really likes red, so I think we'll go ahead and do a red truck with a black outline. So we want to go ahead and put the bottom of the truck on first. And we'll grab our red here And since it is the ink, and the inks are a little bit runnier, you want to make sure that you're going in one direction with your squeegee, because if you start going all different directions, it will cause some bleeding sometimes. You can do a second coat if you see too much of the t-shirt through the ink. You want to make sure that you don't get the ink on anywhere else on the shirt, or it will be permanent. I just almost dripped from my squeegee as I was coming back. You got to make sure. You also want to make sure that all of your silk screen is covered. You don't want to miss anything, because you will lose that detail. Okay. If you're just jumping on, say hi. And if you're spreading the video out there, make sure to put it in the comments so that I can get you into the monthly drawing. I give a full 5x7 transfer kit away once a month. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and try and dry this a little bit before we put that second layer on. Ooh, I think I'm about to lose my pen. It's making some funky noises. Okay, so that should be good enough. Now we're going to go ahead and throw the truck over top. We're just going to line it up to where the red is. And since I'm putting something in the bed of the truck, I'm actually going to not fill in, did I get that right? Yeah, I'm not going to fill in the wood. It almost has like a wood railing, so I want to make sure that I'm not doing that part. I just want to make sure I get a good seal on our transfer. I'm going to grab some black here. We'll do the outline in black. Okay. Making sure I don't have any on my fingers. What's wrong?
Hello. I'm just getting a drink.
And we're just going to go in one direction again. And make sure that we have all of it filled in, because we don't want to lose any of that detail. So how is everyone's Wednesday going? This is where I want to be careful, because I don't want that top part, because I'm going to put fishing poles in it. If you're just jumping on, next we're actually going to start showing you how you can use your vinyl cutters on making your own custom shirts. I love my vinyl cutter, but I unfortunately have not had the best of luck with vinyl iron-ons. It seems like after a couple washes, the vinyl starts cracking or starts pulling up, especially if you don't pre-wash them. So it's just, I like using the inks because it gives it a soft touch. They're real bendable. It's not like you have a sheet of vinyl on the front of your shirt. So I like to make my own custom shirts with that. Okay, so now we've got our truck on here. And I'm gonna go ahead and dry this before we put the fishing poles on here. And I think we're going to do, I think I'm going to do a red tackle box and then brown for the fishing poles. And then we've got a fish somewhere. So we'll use the green for the fish, and then I think we'll probably use green for the gone fishing as well. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put on our third layer. And we're just going to line this up with the bottom of the truck, or the back of the truck. Probably should have started with the truck a little farther over. I didn't take into account the fishing poles would be so long. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do a red. I don't know if that's a cooler or if that's a tackle box, but we're going to do that one in red. And then I think we're going to do all the fishing poles in brown. We've got the fishing poles going in brown. I think I'll probably do the rope and the hook in black. And then we'll put the fish on there. Okay. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and I'm going to do the hook and the line in black. And I always check my fingers because I don't want to accidentally touch the shirt while I'm trying to remove it. Okay. And then we'll just go ahead and I'm gonna, so you don't really need to dry it just yet. We're going to do a fish on the hook. Actually, I do need to dry that. Do a fish on the hook and Gone Fishing, and we're going to do that in the green. You want to make sure you've got it down good because you don't want it to bleed. The inks are a little thinner than the paste. Just go this way. You're just jumping on, say hi. Okay, so now we've got all of it done. We will go ahead and remove these. I'll dry it a little bit and then we'll be able to throw the parchment paper on it and go ahead and seal it. Hey, Brittany. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and dry this a little bit so that when I remove the sticky pad, it doesn't smear. So the next two shirts we're going to do are going to show you how you can use your vinyl cutter to make your own custom shirts. So I did a full vinyl shirt, or I'm sorry, a full transfer shirt. This one was a layered one to show you how you can still layer them using the inks. And the next shirt, we're going to do all vinyl and show you how I can use our inks with the vinyl. Okay, so I need to remove our sticky pad first, or it will melt it to the shirt. And the next shirt, I love it. It's actually for my daughter. And I'm sure, as most of you have seen with Tiger King, she is going to love the next shirt. But first, we're going to go ahead and seal this one up. So to seal it, you can either use an iron, or if you have a heat press, I just like to use heat press. We'll go ahead and do it 30 seconds per section. It is warm up here today. And I just use parchment paper just in case it's a little wet still, so it won't cause any issues with your heat press. just go ahead and do the second section here. And once you have it heat set, you can wash it. It is permanent after that. If you guys are just jumping on, make sure to sprinkle that video out there. Put it in the comments, and that will get you into the monthly drawing. This heat press is really heating up this room too. Hot. Okay. And there we go. Gone fishing. That is a cute layering option. So next I'm going to show you how you can use your vinyl cutter to make your own custom shirts. So I kind of started it a little bit already because this one was so detailed that I wanted to make sure to just already have some of it done. But I will go ahead and show you how I did it with the last part of it. So what you do is you cut it out on your vinyl cutter, but instead of leaving all of the detail that you want to leave the outline of it. So in this case, we now have the Hey All You Cool Cats and Kittens in the open section, because that's what we're going to fill with the ink. So I use just a throwaway vinyl. Doesn't have to be great, because we're not leaving it on there. And then I use transfer paper. I want to make sure that it's sticking real good to the transfer paper before I remove it. Which one? This one or the one I just did? Sometimes the comments are a little delayed, so I'm guessing it's probably this one. Maddie and Scott go back and forth with the whole Carol Baskin thing. So this is a really cute one for her. If I can get this off. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this all onto the transfer paper. So this is how I did the cat and the first part of the words. Like I said, with being the cat being in so detailed, I just wanted to go ahead and have that ready. And this is a real easy way. So if you see a shirt that you like and you've got the t-shirt already and you want to go ahead and just make it yourself, you can do so with the inks. Ooh, the light's reflecting off of it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my scraper tool and just go ahead and make sure that that has a good seal before I remove the transfer paper. So this is exactly what I already did to these two. So the only problem with this is it's not going to be reusable like our transfers are. So once we remove this, it'll just go straight to the trash. Okay. I'm going to leave that transfer paper off to the side because the next shirt we're going to do is going to be half transfer, half of the vinyl. So I'm just going to grab the backing to my vinyl and make sure now that I've pulled that transfer paper off that I still have a really good seal. Oops. Especially when it comes to all of these real detailed parts, because any bleeding will ruin your design. Okay. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and do this one in white. Why do I not feel? Yeah. because I think black on the purple will be too hard to see. So this is where you really want to make sure that you're just going in one direction, because if you start going all over, it does cause bleeding. And with it not being an actual transfer, it doesn't have as much adhesive. So you want to make sure that you're just kind of doing a light coat. We'll go over it a second time because you can already see the purple coming through it. But you just want to be kind of gentle with it because you don't want it to bleed. My goodness, this thing is blowing off so much heat. It is so hot. Probably last time I'll use it in live. I'll just heat set them when we're off. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this last chunk here, and then we're going to go over it and do a second coat because you can see a whole lot of purple coming through. But I want that ink to kind of set a little bit while we're working on the rest before I just throw another wet coat on it. Actually, I kind of have this a little close to the top and I don't want to hit the top of the transfer. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the top of it with some more. And then our next shirt, which is the last one of the evening, it's going to be half transfer and half vinyl to see that you can actually use them both together to make it custom as well. Okay, so now some of that purple is really getting a good cover now. And just hit this last part again. And we can go ahead and start removing our transfer. And you can see, let's cross our fingers it didn't bleed. See how well it looks. So I've done this a couple times and I've only had a problem once where it really bled, but I think it was because I didn't make sure the transfer was really good down and tight. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead. I want to make sure I don't have any ink on my fingers. And there we go. Trash. And then I'm just gonna try and get these middle pieces up here without getting ink all over the place. With this one, I might have to let the ink kind of dry on its own so that when I'm picking at all these little pieces, it doesn't bleed. And so far, it looks like this one's coming out pretty good. You're just jumping on, say hi. So right now I'm just using vinyl to make kind of our own custom t-shirts. And I used our ink with it instead of just using iron-on transfer for vinyl, I mean. Because I don't always love how vinyl feels. It's kind of thick. After time, it'll start cracking, or if the shirt shrinks at all, it will cause the vinyl to kind of bunch. So I love using our inks to make custom t-shirts because the ink is it dries very soft. And you don't have to worry about all of that extra stuff. I'm afraid it'll melt the transfer or the vinyl, as I don't want it to leave the adhesive behind. Okay. Let's go ahead and remove this one and see what we can do. Just want to make sure you're not getting too much ink on your fingers as well, because you can transfer that back onto your shirt. Here we go. It's going to take a while. Trying to get some of the big pieces off here. God, it is so hot with this heat press. Sorry guys, first time doing a live with the heat press, and it is hot up here. Okay. I'm going to try and get this out of here first. It is so... Can you feel that heat press? I will never do a live with the heat press again. It is warm. Okay, just trying to get all of these vinyl pieces off here. We are almost done with this one. My goodness, I didn't realize there were so many little pieces. you use transfer paper, it doesn't seem that bad. We got to make sure we have all of them off before we put the heat press on it, because if not, it will make that adhesive stay. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, so we just have the rose left around the hair, around the head, I mean, sorry. And then this one will be done, and we can heat set it and move on. Fortunately, the rose has a lot of little pieces. So this is how you can use your vinyl cutter to make custom t-shirts with our inks. And then next, I've got one more shirt to show. We're going to be using half vinyl and half actual transfers, so that you can see that you can make our transfers more custom to what you like. I cannot believe how much heat is coming off of this heat. I ended up having to turn it off. I mean, it's already hot on our second floor, but it is scalding hot. Okay, we're almost done. And then we can heat set this one and move on. Does anyone have any questions? If you guys are spreading the video out there and sprinkling it out, make sure to put it in the comments so that I can get you into our monthly drawing. We've got one more t-shirt. I'll probably do some chalking this weekend, so if you're interested in that, if you have, if you're not already liking my page, my business page, you can hit the little thumbs up, and that will get you any notifications when I'm going live or when I've got posts going on. If you put VIP into the comments, you should get a link to my VIP page. That's where I have a lot of my sales on our products and my finished projects. Oh my gosh, so many little pieces. Also, if you don't really want to like my page and get all the notifications, but you might want to get notifications just when I'm going live, just so you can see what's going on, you can actually just hit on the screen and hit follow, and you can watch that way as well. We're going to go ahead and heat set this one. Turn that back on. So we've got all of the red vinyl off of there now. No, we don't. And we'll be able to heat set this with some parchment paper in our heat. Just has to heat back up. And then we've got one more to go, and then we are all done unless you guys want to see anything in particular. So what's really nice about this is you could just cut this out in vinyl and be done. But I've noticed that when I do our vinyl, sometimes it'll start scrunching if the shirt's not completely shrunk, or after multiple washes and wears, you'll see that it starts cracking or falling off a little bit. So I really like our inks because they're permanent. It's soft, easily movable. It doesn't feel like you have something just on the front of your shirt. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and heat set this in 2 different sections. I do it at temperature 300 for 30 seconds. You could also just do this with an iron. When I use an iron, I just do a section at a time and hold it down for 30 seconds and kind of move it around. I still use the parchment paper. So our inks you can use on anything that you can heat set with either an iron, heat press, or in the oven. So you can make coffee mugs and stuff like that and put them in the oven. Just gonna go ahead and move this down. Do the second part. So you can also do any platters or anything like that. Anything you can put in the oven, you can use the inks for as well. Okay, so for our last one, I recently have gotten into Outlander, TV show on Stars, I think it is. So I'm going to make an Outlander customer shirt, but I'm going to use our Wherever You Go transfer. And then I'm going to put an Outlander kind of twist to it. So, and here we are. And just like that, we have a custom shirt with our inks. So I did get a little bit on there, but kind of scrape it off a little bit. But it is dry and it is custom and it is completely washable and permanent. So there is our third shirt we've done tonight. Okay, last shirt. So we are going to use our Wherever You Go, Go with All Your Heart transfer. And I'm actually going to make it with a Outlander kind of twist to it. Does anyone watch Outlander? So I'm going to go ahead and do all the transfer part first, and then we'll come in with the vinyl. Go ahead and lay out my shirt. We'll get our sticky mat in here. Dry. Show that one. Show that one. What, this one? Show what one? Hi, Leslie. Okay, I'm not sure what my husband was talking about. Sometimes there's such a delay that I've moved on and I can't tell what people are talking about sometimes. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do, oh, that's kind of big. We're going to use the mountains, we're going to use the trees and the river all on this one. And then we're going to, oh, I did, okay. And then we're going to actually put Fraser's Ridge in for the words. So since this is our ink and we're putting it straight onto cloth, we do not have to fuzz them. We can just put it straight onto the shirt. So I'm going to show you that you can actually make, with our transfers, a custom shirt, and it doesn't have to be identical to what the transfer is. So just to go over it, because we got some new people on, we've done a couple different shirts this evening. So the Mountains Are Calling. This was just one transfer. It actually had a second part with a big bear on it, but we went ahead and just cut off. So I did a full, using just our transfers in multiple colors. Then we did a layering shirt. So once again, this was just with our transfers, but it was a layering shirt. We had the bottom of the truck, the outline of the truck, and then we had a third transfer with the fishing poles, and then a fourth and a fifth transfer with the fish and the Gone Fishing. So we have a lot of transfers that you can actually layer and make multiple different colors. Then we did a completely custom one with no chalk drawer transfer to it, but we used vinyl to make our own transfer. Now the problem with these is, one, they are not reusable like our transfers are. So it's a one-time thing. And sometimes it's kind of hard to get a good seal, and they sometimes cause bleeding, but this one actually came out really good. So that one was completely all vinyl, making our own custom transfer with that. And now we're going to do a multiple one where we're using some parts from our transfers and then some from the vinyl to make it custom as well. So we're going to go ahead and start with the mountains. I think I'm actually going to do it, since I'm doing it in green shirt, I'm going to do I wonder if I should change color shirts. No, that's okay. We're just going to do, should I do it on the orange shirt so I can do green? I just love this green shirt. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just do it all in white. Just stick with that. I was going to do all different colors, but I just don't think the colors are going to show up right on this dark green shirt. So we're going to go ahead. You want to make sure there's no air bubbles in your transfer. We're going to do the mountains. We're going to use the river, kind of the rock bed, the trees, and the birds. We're just not going to do any of the words. And then we will throw in our own words with the vinyl to make it more of a custom shirt. Okay. You want to make sure that also with the inks that you kind of go in one direction, because it does cause bleeding sometimes if you start going in all different directions. We're also getting some good coverage. If we saw a lot of the green shirt through it, we could do a second coat, but I think we'll actually be okay. Also, another really good thing with the inks is that you can kind of take your time and make sure you have everything covered. Where with the paste, sometimes they start drying into your transfer, and it causes you need to move a little bit faster. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and fill in what we are going to be keeping from the transfer with our white paste. And we're going to make this kind of a custom Outlander shirt. I don't know if anyone watches Outlander. But we're going to make it Fraser Ridge. We're using a mix of our reusable transfers and the one-time use of a vinyl. Okay, so the river kind of links with the words that we're not using. So I'm going to kind of try and move it up some. Try and make a line where that ends. There we go. So this is the last shirt we're probably going to do for the evening. Does anyone have any questions? We still got a little bit for this one. I just wanted to see if anyone had any questions. If you haven't liked my page already, I do have some games and contests throughout the week sometimes to win sample packs. I also have our monthly drawing for if you sprinkle the video. And if you're watching this in a replay, you can still do it in a replay as well and get into the drawing. So monthly I give out a 5x7 transfer with a board. You get a squeegee and 2 paste packets for samples. Okay, so I was just kind of trying to go over it a couple times just to make sure all of that green is covered from the shirt. Okay, so that is all we're going to use from the transfer. I'm going to go ahead and pull this off. I'm going to dry it a little bit so that when we're messing around with the vinyl for the custom part. Yeah, I love Outlander. I didn't start watching it until quarantine. They threw a couple episodes or a couple seasons on Netflix. And first season I got hooked. Okay. Set this off to the side here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and dry this, and then we're going to put Fraser's Ridge in the Established. If I didn't just ruin my transfer paper. Didn't realize it was on the ground and I was stepping on it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and dry this so that when we're messing around with the words, it doesn't cause any smearing. Keep dropping everything. The funny thing is I actually got this transfer because the first thing I thought of was Outlander when I saw it. I knew that I needed to make it custom. Okay, oops. So that should be dry enough that we can go ahead and move on. I think I'm going to try and do this without any transfer paper. So a lot of it is just all in one piece. So this is just standard vinyl that you can get at any craft store. And I just used my cutter. Oh, don't rip. Probably should have just stuck with the transfer paper. There we go. Now we're going to go ahead and put the words right in here. I'm just going to kind of lay down all of the words, or all of the letters. There we go. So this is kind of how you can make your own shirts with still using the Chalk Couture transfers as well. So I'm just going to grab the middles of the E's here real fast. Throw those on there. Then we're going to go ahead and make sure we've got a tight seal. Hi, Connie. If you're just joining, this is the 4th shirt we've done tonight. I've shown multiple different techniques that you can use using not only our Chalk Couture transfers, but also using your vinyl cutter to make your own custom shirts. And still using our inks. I love our inks. I love iron-ons too, but I don't get very good wear out of them. Like, you wash it a couple times and they start cracking or they start wrinkling, and they don't last as long as I would hope. So our inks, they last, and I love that about them. Plus, if you've got a big transfer or a big design like this one, it doesn't feel like something's laying on you. It's actually just, I mean, it's real movable. There's no vinyl feel to it. Okay. So now I'm going to make sure I have a good seal. So I'm just going to use the paper that I removed it from. Just got our little scraper. You can really use anything. And I'm just going to make sure that I've got a good seal on it. Especially around those inserts of the letters where we pulled the E and all that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this one too while we're here. Just make sure there's a really good seal on it. And get rid of all that. And I'm just going to stick with the white ink and fill it in. Now, since this is not one of our transfers, you really want to make sure that you're not, hey Tiffany, you really want to make sure that you're sticking in that same direction, especially when it comes to using vinyl. It will bleed easier than our transfers will. Okay. So, if you're just joining, this is our 4th shirt for the night. We did a all transfer shirt with multiple colors. We did a layering transfer with multiple colors. We did an all custom shirt using vinyl to make our own design. And then now we've got half transfer, half vinyl. So this is one of our transfers that I've made custom, cutting out my own vinyl wording to put into it. Now I'm going to hit this with a second coat. You can really see that green. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn that back on. Okay, so now I've got our second coat on here. Seeing less of the green. It's going to make it kind of even. we should be good. So now I'm going to go ahead and remove our transfer, or I'm sorry, our vinyl. So I'm just removing all of the vinyl right now. Trying to. And it just looks stretched a little bit because it's coming off of that sticky board that we have on the inside. You always want to make sure you're putting that sticky board in the inside. One, it holds your shirt together or in one area, but it also helps to it not bleed through. Okay. Going to get this last piece off here. We'll get all those middle inserted parts of the letters. There we go. Maybe. There we go. Okay. And 2 more to go. Okay. So just like that, we've got a custom t-shirt. So we used half of our transfer, which was the mountains and all the bottom, and then we customized it with our own wording. I'm going to dry this a little bit before we remove it from the board. And then we'll be able to heat press it and it'll be permanent. I sell the shirts as well, so if you really want one, just message me and we can set it up. Okay, so that should be good enough to be able to remove it from the board. You always want to remove it before using your heat. You don't want to melt the board to your shirt. Oops. Okay. We're going to go ahead and put our little heat pad in here. I'm going to grab my parchment paper, and we're just going to go ahead and do this in 4 sections and make that permanent. Does anyone have any questions before we call it a night? So I am working on a t-shirt right now that was half of this transfer, and then we customized it in the middle. So you can use our transfers and customize them however you want. I also used a full transfer with multiple colors. Too much going on back here. So we just used the top half of this transfer. So we did a full transfer on that one. Move this around. Transfer sticking to my feet. I dropped all of them. Just want to make sure you heat set all of it. And I keep missing the bottom here. There we go. And cover it with the parchment paper. I'm going to heat set that one there. Okay, so we started with using just the Chalk Couture transfers and ink. We did it with multiple different colors on that one. Then we moved on to, once again, only using our transfers, but doing it with a layering. So this was 5 different layers. You had the back of the truck, the outline of the truck, the fishing poles, and then the fish with the go fishing. So that was multiple different layers. I showed that. Then we did an all custom t-shirt with all vinyl. With all vinyl, but still using our inks. Now with this, you only get 1 use out of your vinyl, but you were able to get a full custom piece, and it's pliable, it's movable. It's not like you have a full on vinyl on there. You don't have to worry about little pieces falling off. You don't have to worry about if it shrinks a little bit, that it'll cause some of the vinyl to shrink with the shirt. I accidentally turned it off, but you would think that it would still be at temperature. And then this one we did half transfer, half custom. So you can really do so much with our t-shirts. With the inks in particular, because you can also put it on cups. You can put it on platters, anything that you can heat set in the oven. You can do banners. I like to use the inks on like cork boards also, because it's so much softer than the paste. The paste can get a little crunchy. So if you're constantly putting in like pins into the cork boards, these stay a little bit better. And then I'm trying to think of what else. I use it on glass as well. Now it will come off if you wipe it, because I don't feel comfortable heat setting glass for some reason. I'm just afraid I'm going to shatter it. But you can also use our transfers with etching cream. So if you do want to put it on glass and have it permanent, you can actually use etching cream as well. Just got to make sure that you get it out of the transfer as quickly as possible once you're done, because you don't want that etching cream to harden into your transfer. And our transfers are reusable, and you can use them, they say 8 to 10 times, but as long as you're taking care of them and you're getting the paste and the inks cleaned out of them in a timely manner, not just letting it sit there for months, you can get a lot more uses out of them. I know I've got some Christmas transfers that have at least 15, 20 uses out of them, and I still have them set aside for Christmas with still more uses to them. So, okay, so we are done with those shirts. I'm stepping on my sticky mat. So there we go. There is our 4th custom t-shirt for the night. And now, just within an hour and a half, we did 4 t-shirts that are all custom, kind of one of a kinds, except for the transfer ones, but you use your own colors and stuff, so you can make them different. And I just wanted to really show you guys how many different ways you can use our transfers and our inks and our paste. And you guys can actually do that with boards as well, using the transfer vinyl. I just normally don't push down as hard because I don't want the adhesive to stick to the boards. But I do have some projects that I want to do custom, so we'll be doing those here soon as well. And I'll show you how you can use your vinyl on boards too. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night. We got a lot of people jumping off. I'm gonna go ahead and clean my transfers and call it an evening. If you guys have any questions, message me. Make sure to hit the thumbs up on my business page so that you can follow me. Or if you just want notifications when I'm going live, just click anywhere on the screen and hit follow. And see you guys next time. Bye.